Number 7, Labyrinth. Now we're getting into the fantasy genre. In this film, a girl called Sarah makes a fairy tale wish that her baby half-brother Toby was taken away by the goblins. When this actually happens, she has to travel through a labyrinth within 13 hours to save her half-brother. Yeah, it's kind of a weird plot. This film came in at number 7 because it has such a unique mixture of elements. First, there's the story. Fairy tales in general make good kids' movies because they're usually very imaginative. And since it's a fairy tale, it's very easy to just set everything aside and accept it for what it is. Second, there's the characters, and in this case, the majority of them are puppets. Large-scale, full-blown puppets that you really don't see much of these days. That's simply Jim Henson and George Lucas for you, and one of the reasons why I'm a fan of most of their movies. Of course, these days, everything would be CG, and while it may look good, I feel that there's really something more genuine and real when using puppets the way films like this do. I don't know, maybe I have a thing for puppets. Anyways, then you've got David Bowie playing the Goblin King, wearing his tight pants, big hair. I mean, it's like he's on stage, which is funny to mention because he does sing. In fact, there are several songs in this film. It's almost like a musical. Add it all up and you've got yourself one very strange, bizarre, and fun movie. Okay, still with me? Number 6, Flight of the Navigator. Easily one of my childhood favorites. Without giving too much away, I'll just say that this one's about a boy named David who is mysteriously moved 8 years into the future, where he now contains a vast knowledge of outer space and navigates an alien spaceship with a pilot he calls Max. Growing up as a boy fascinated with space and science fiction, this movie really captivated me. The story is very well written and it's more elaborate than you'd expect. The characters are terrific and Joey Kramer's performance is solid. You've also got a very young Sarah Jessica Parker, as well as a couple other familiar faces. But I think the character that takes the cake is Max, the alien. He's just so bizarre and likable. Nearly all of the humor comes from him, especially when he inherits a personality similar to Pee Wee Herman, which I guess is appropriate since Paul Reubens does the voice.
Well, excuse me!
The soundtrack to this film is superb, composed by Alan Silvestri, who also composed soundtracks to films like Back to the Future and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Definitely check this one out if you haven't already, and remember,
You are the Navigator.
Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada.
in the same genre of sci-fi adventure comes The Last Starfighter. It amazes me how many people have come to love this film and even go as far as calling it a classic. For myself, it's really a no-brainer why I'm fond of this one. It basically takes two awesome things, video games and science fiction, and combines them with a good story, creating one kick-ass movie. Here you've got Alex, a young teenager trapped in a crappy trailer park, whose only excitement is his girlfriend and a video game called Starfighter. When he beats the record on the game, a guy called Centauri, who's really an alien, comes to recruit Alex to fight in outer space, explaining that the game was actually a means of testing his skills, and that he's needed to help fight in an intergalactic battle. How sweet is that? Could you imagine if you were playing Super Mario Bros. And after beating the game, Mario appeared and asked you for your help in rescuing the princess? It's outrageous. At the time this was made, the effects were considered top-notch, even though now they appear to be far outdated. The story is really what carries this movie, and the acting is fantastic, not just of Lance Guest, who plays Alex, but the supporting roles, particularly Centauri, who's played by Robert Preston, and Grigg, played by Dan O'Hurley. Anyone who likes video games or sci-fi, or both, should check this one out. Hell, even if you're not into those things, check this one out anyways, because it's really good. On a little side note, there's rumors floating around the web of a sequel being made. Apparently, the trend these days is to target people my age and remake or create new glamorized sequels to the movies we grew up loving. When will they learn?
Diarrhea.
I know you are, but what am I?
You're a nerd.
I know you are, but what am I?
Getting up there at number 4 is none other than Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Now, I know there's probably a ton of you that'll disagree with me on this one, but let's go back to the 80s for a minute. I don't know about you, but I can't think of one kid who wasn't a fan of Pee Wee Herman. He was bigger than life. I can remember getting up early for Saturday morning cartoons and watching Pee Wee's Playhouse. Everyone loved Pee Wee Herman, and not just the kids, but adults too. Simply put, Pee Wee Herman was the shit, and his movie only exemplified that. It was awesome, I don't even know where to begin. First off, let's talk about the plot. Pee-wee's bike is stolen and he's out to find it. That's it. How the hell do you make a feature-length film about a guy trying to find a bicycle? Well, Paul Reubens and Tim Burton pull it off with flying colors. Speaking of Tim Burton, this was one of his first films he directed, and I couldn't think of a better man for the job. He had such a bizarre tone to the film, and it complements Pee-wee's character perfectly. I particularly like the dream sequences and use of stop-motion animation. Danny Elfman's score is fantastic, and by the way, this was one of his first films composing music for. Add those elements to an already goofy Pee-wee Herman, along with a bunch of off-the-wall characters, and you've got yourself one outrageous movie.
I say we kill him. Yeah! I say we hang him, then we kill him. Yeah! I say we stop him. Yeah! Then we tattoo him. Yeah! Then we hang him. Yeah! And then we kill him. Yeah! I say we let him go. No!
As a kid, I can't count how many times I borrowed or rented this movie. I just couldn't get enough of it. And the older I get, the more I find myself laughing and enjoying this movie for what it is. I find it hilarious how many times Paul Reubens spoofs James Bond and even makes fun of Hollywood.
Have you got any messages for room 104? The name's Herman. P.W. Herman.
No, nothing right now, Mr. Herman.
There's just way too much to talk about with this film, and I've already gone on for way too long. Bottom line, this movie rocks. Check it out if you haven't.
I meant to do that.